Hi guys and welcome back to another video. You join me today to do the traditional automotive YouTuber video of discussing the 5 things that I hate about my Abarth 595. Now of course, just a quick disclaimer before we do get into the video, I of course don't hate this car because otherwise I wouldn't have bought it and I wouldn't have spent over a year looking for one of these cars. So of course I do absolutely love this car, I think it is great. But with some questionable Italian engineering, there are a few things that I'd change about it. So seeing as we're on the outside of the car, I thought we'd start off with the first thing being the headlights. The headlights on this thing are dreadful. Genuinely, I'm better off sticking my phone torch out the window because it'd be brighter. But it's quite weird on this car because it looks like it should provide some amazing light because it has 6 lights at the front. The bottom 2 being the fog lights, then the second 2 up being the daylight running lights, and then the top 2 being the headlights. Now I have absolutely no problem with the fog lights, they work fine. The daylight running lights are actually brighter than the headlights, so the daylight running lights work fine, but the headlights themselves are so dim and so terrible that they definitely need replacing. Now from what I've heard, a lot of people have either been hit or miss with the headlights, so some people have had some great reviews of them, said that they work really well from forums, and people that I've spoken to as well have said their headlights work fine. Other people have said they are appalling and that they've had to replace theirs. So I think unfortunately my car needs the headlights replacing quite badly because driving at night is actually quite dangerous in this car now, so I do try and avoid it, which obviously isn't ideal. You kind of have a car so that you can drive anywhere any of the time, so I think that's definitely one thing that needs replacing pretty sharpish. So I don't know what it is about this car with lights, but the second thing that I hate is the indicators. They are absolutely dreadful. So let's take a little look inside the car and I'll show you what the problem is. So any excuse to start this thing up really. You can still hear the exhaust. This thing does sound awesome. But if I put the wheel straight and put these indicators on, you can see by the stalk these things actually require pushing up to be put on or pushing down. Now on the Corsa you could simply flick it like that and it go back into place, so the indicator would stay on. Whereas in this, if you flick it up and turn the wheel, it will go off straight away. And that is the problem. If you turn up to a roundabout or anything, the indicator will go off straight away. Because obviously if you go up to a roundabout, you indicate to the side and you go that way to turn and then go round the roundabout, your indicator's got to come off, and that is a massive problem. So if I turn it off again, there's no point having the engine running. With the nice Abarth logo coming up there, this car really is class. But of course that causes a massive problem at roundabouts where I am the only person that knows where I'm going and the person that was behind me when I first signalled because the indicator's gone off. So that causes a huge problem. Now I hate being negative about this car considering I've literally just got it and I really am quite obsessed with it. But seeing as I am sat in the seats, I think one problem is got to be the seating position. Now I know that this is a common flaw with Abarths and, well, Fiat 500s in general, but I'm personally not a massive fan of the seating position. I feel like I'm very high up in the car, which I know some people like, especially if you're a smaller person, but for me, well, I'm not exactly a tall person, I'm 5'11", so a sort of an average size guy, but I do feel quite big in this car. Not just because of how small it is from the back, that doesn't really bother me, but simply how high up I am. Now I really don't know how this perspective sort of comes out, but you can see I'm sort of holding the camera at chest height and my chest is above the dash. So the dash sort of leans backwards, so it's all centered upwards towards the driver. So it does sort of insinuate a higher seating position. But I find that slightly weird that my whole chest and body is above the dash. So I do feel like I'm, you know, in a way being watched in this car because I am so much higher up than I'm used to being. So in the Corsa, I had a seating position, the lowest it would go, sort of a reclined, relaxed seating position, whereas in this, obviously, it's a smaller car. So how they sit so that you can accommodate for more people is that your legs dangle lower so that you have a higher seating position so that you can still sit 4 people in the car comfortably, which I completely understand, but it would be nice if I could just lower the seat slightly to give sort of a more relaxed seating position that I'm more used to. And also another problem with the seating position being in this way is that it insinuates going faster, because of course if you're sat lower you feel like you're going faster. So in this car you sort of don't realise the speed that you're going up to because you're in such a higher seating position, you have such great visibility around you, you don't feel that sense of speed, which can be a little bit of a problem in such a powerful little car. You know, I'm quite enjoying this video, being able to just sit down in the car and rattle off the complaints is quite good. It's quite comfortable in here. But the fourth complaint also comes from within the car, and that being the 500 badges. Now obviously this car is an Abarth 595, it is not a 500, so I don't understand why we have a 500 badge on the side there. I do understand the 500 badge on the infotainment. These are some of the only 500 badges on this car, to be fair. Abarth have done well to cover up a load of them with Abarth badges, and then even the little details like on the windows you have Abarth badges, so fair play to them for really covering it up quite well. But this one, that is a poor effort. And the problem is as well, I can't replace this. This is actually sort of engraved within the material, so it's not like you can just prise it out, which is what I was hoping to do. It would leave the 500 badge underneath, so that is very annoying. And also here on the back, I don't understand why this says 500, and from what I've seen online as well, there's no sort of replacement panels to this that say 595 on it, but that would be an awesome touch, because of course on the Abarth it does say down the side what model of car this is. This is not a 500. It's based on the 500, but it is in its own right a 595, so I really don't understand why this car has 500 badges all over it. And then the final complaint about this car, complaint number 5, is unfortunately something that I can't show you. It's actually to do with the fuel of this car. Now obviously when you buy an Abarth, you know that it's not going to be good on fuel. You don't expect that, because that would be a stupid expectation. This car is actually quite bad on fuel, but it's not terrible. It averages about 37.8, I think it says, mile per gallon. So around 37, 38 mpg, which is sort of what I expected from this car. And compare it to the Corsa, it's actually only a couple of mpg worse. So it hasn't actually changed that much in terms of fuel economy for me personally, but this is certainly more enjoyable to drive. But that is not the complaint at all. The complaint is the unfortunate fuel tank size. Now of course this is a very small car, so you can't expect the fuel tank to be massive, but the problem is with this thing drinking quite a lot of fuel, it means that you are spending a lot of time at petrol stations, because the tank is tiny. It costs only about 35, 40 pounds to fill up, and then that is gone in an instant, because this thing is very thirsty. So that is a bit of a shame. Of course Abarth have kind of done what they can do. They've taken the base from the Fiat 500 and upgraded it, and of course this car is tiny. There is no space for Abarth to put in a bigger fuel tank to accommodate for the worst fuel economy. So I can't imagine how many trips to the fuel station you'd have to do if you owned a more powerful, more thirsty version of the Abarth, such as the 695s. That would be expensive. But for now, these have been the 5 things I hate about my Abarth 595. Of course, as I mentioned at the start of the video, I don't hate this car, because otherwise I wouldn't have purchased it. I think this thing is fantastic. It is so much fun to drive. It's so small. It is fairly practical, it's nippy, it sounds amazing. There are so many positives about this car that I could bang on about, and well, I might have to in another video, another excuse to get out here and film with this amazing car. So I really hope that you guys have gone to enjoy today's video. If you have, please make sure that you do of course smash it a like, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.